Welcome to Turtle WoW News with Vrograg. I'm your news anchor orc, Vrograg Fishlayer, here to bring you all the server news for the week of March 19th, 2024. Let's get to it. I'm the orc, and here's the news. Top story this week, an official leak came out from the head of Turtle WoW Public Relations, Akalix, confirming that as part of inquiries about potential race changes, there will be reduced dependence on race, and that hit math will be changed. While the nature and specifics of these changes remain vague at best, it seems the team is pushing forward to not make race choice such a potentially punishing metric in the late game. To the uninitiated, physical DPS and melee most of all have to contend with what is known as weapon skill. These weapon-type specific buffs work to reduce the chance that a high-level mob or boss can be missed, but primarily for melee, reduce the ever-pervasive glancing penalty. Seen here, the white or auto-attack damage of weapons by melee have a whopping 65% damage penalty from a player with no weapon skill above 300, which is the normal maximum without any skill bonuses. This has historically meant that races like humans with their sword specialization bonus of 5 are a lot closer to the necessary 308 weapon skill for swords to negate as much of the glancing blow penalty as possible. Likewise, this also meant that other races using swords have always been at a 20% glancing blow deficit versus humans. This surely will have a big impact on the melee meta for tanking and melee DPS. Will humans still reign as top sword users? Will orcs be able to put down their axes? Make sure to stay tuned as we deliver all the latest news developing about the new patch. Our next top story is about an unusual coding error that was making raiders lose their flasks. Last week, there was a seemingly innocuous change tracked on the changelog due to the client having a meltdown when a mount buff was applied to a character when at or near the buff cap of 32. By design, a player can have more buffs than 32 visually indicated, but for the sake of the client not having an identity crisis, they are made invisible. However, this last week, players receiving more than 32 buffs found out that this change accidentally made the client revert to just having the buffs get pushed off. Most sad of all was that the priority was given to the most recently applied buffs, which meant players with long-lasting flasks or zanzas suddenly found themselves out a little or a lot of gold. Fortunately, the team has since been made aware of the issues and are hoping to have a fix out for this weekly reset. As is the case of a client full of spaghetti code, the new fix might have problems or not work at all. So for those who are worried about potentially losing expensive consumables, I recommend getting the VCB add-on, which can help a player track how many buffs they have, auto-cancel ones they don't want, and even get rid of hidden buffs like herb tracking to avoid any future accidents. I will leave a link in the description of the video to the GitHub repository for the add-on. Our last top story is important information to take note of for the oft-used bug tracker. It was announced on the 13th that the Turtle team has migrated all the bug tracking, once done over on GitHub, over to the main website for Turtle WoW, turtle-wow.org. The migration to the main website for Turtle WoW was to help ease of use and not require reporters to make another account on a third-party website. To use the new utility, one only needs to sign into the web page with their account information, then go to the bug tracker header, and get to reporting. This method also allows players to make reports using their character name associated with the account, and features most of the same tools, formatting, and standards used previously on GitHub. I even made my own bug report and can confirm it works perfectly fine, though the irony of calm elements angering elementals is palpable. As always, I encourage community members to report any glitches, bugs, or strange things happening in-game to the bug tracker. It makes the developer's job a lot easier and gives us all a better game experience. That rounds out our top stories for this week. Let's check in on the auction house over at Market Watch. Welcome to Market Watch, where an orc proves he can count beyond 10. All our data is gathered from numbers provided by wowauctions.net. Make sure to use their website for all of your own market data research and investment due diligence. First to Telebim. The Alliance S&V 200 trended flat this month to date, staying around the 5 gold mark. Despite the flagging main index, the Alliance Mining Index is showing signs of a recent gold rush, doubling in value in 4 days. The price for dark iron bars seems to be the primary driver behind the rally, jumping from under 5 gold to around 8 around the 14th, but also adding its value was blue sapphire, which has quintupled its price since the 16th. Over on the Horde side, the S&V 200 trended up 33%, finishing 0.5 higher over its Alliance counterpart. One Horde index of interest has been tailoring, which since the 9th has enjoyed over 100% growth despite the rest of the market stabilizing. The power behind this growth is the dynamic duo of the cloth world, Felcloth and Mooncloth. Felcloth jumped from half a gold up to over 5 gold around the 14th, but has since stabilized. Bolstering the index growth was Mooncloth, which has been enjoying appreciable market growth since the 10th. It too has nearly doubled its price. Over on Northernar, the S&V 200 in a month, the market has trended up 20%, and looking as far back as this index has been tracked, we are experiencing record levels of market value and likely inflation. We haven't checked in on how the Bijou market has been doing, and despite or thanks to developer intervention, depending on how you look at it, since the middle of December of last year, the market still is trending up, but not without its fair share of market volatility. One Zandalarian honor mark has remained around the 6 gold price point for some time, so the index may stabilize once more. Checking in on the ever-growing herb index, there does seem to be some recent bright spots for raiders. After a month of growth, the last half week showed the herb index falling in value a little bit. Historically, these are still record-breaking prices, but time will tell if this is a momentary interruption to growth or the start of some needed relief for players who thirst for consumes. Looking at the herbs a bit more closely, we get some context for why the index faltered. Around the 15th, Grom's Blood, Grave Moss, Blindweed, and Mountain Silver Sage all fell in price, which was enough to stall herbalism's growth. But keeping everything in context is Black Lotus, which I've been keeping track of much longer than most commodities. Looking back 275 days ago, at 50 gold a piece, the current valuation is as high as it's ever been on Turtle WoW. Hopefully something is done to combat this difficult problem for flask enjoyers. That's all the time we have for Market Watch today. I hope you found some of the information here useful. Make sure to use wowauctions.net for all of your own market research. Remember to keep an eye on your coin, otherwise someone else will for you. Let's get back to the news. The changelog for March 12th was pretty small, though certainly had some heavy hitters, one of which we've already covered in detail earlier this program. Let's quickly glance at the remaining 8 notes from last week with the changelog roundup. The temporary flying mounts dotted all over Turtle WoW had some small adjustments made so that players would be dismounted from them as intended after 45 seconds. The mobs on Gilligim Isle were freed from their 40-yard leash limit, and presumably the same can be said for Lapidus, since seemingly the initial bug report made by S. Zalor was for both islands. Happy kiting, hunters! After many years, someone finally asked to have the guild tabards not show up blank on character selection, and now players can enjoy the close-up of their character in all their guild pride when they first sign in. There was some worry when players noticed the changelog mentioned that the Alliance version of the Barov Peasant Collar would be disabled. This, of course, was not in response to the trinket being disabled altogether, but was a missing part of a larger change for arena battles, where, by and large, pet trinkets are disabled. Thanks to the vigilance and curiosity of poster Robin the 11th, they noted their inability to use the Barov Peasant Collar while the Alliance were still able to use theirs. Evidently, the team forgot that although they share the same name, there are two versions of that item, one for each faction, and the error has since been corrected. And finally, the next chapter of the Windstone saga appeared in the changelog. This time, the regular Windstones were the culprit, and the elemental dukes summoned through them were getting stuck within the same crystals meant to be used in summoning them. Maybe we'll make it a full week before hearing more about these cursed stones in Silithus. That completes the changelog roundup for this week. This week's changelog may be out soon, so make sure to check it out now so you can keep on top of all the latest adjustments coming to Turtle WoW. That rounds out this week's news. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to drop by to catch my weekly Fish and Chat stream this Saturday, noon US East Coast time. Keep your eyes peeled for bonus streams. I might do one if time permits. I've been playing Unicorn Overlord on the side. Maybe I'll show some of that off. If you like this content and want to support me, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're feeling generous, super chats are enabled, and I have a working tip link available. Once again, I'll leave it up in the comments. My comments, DMs, and emails are always open for feedback, constructive criticism, and any news items you'd like to share. Remember too, if you have an advertisement or community news you'd like to have featured, I'm only a message away. All methods of reaching me will be in the description of the video. It's about time for me to head out. Whatever you're doing, make sure to have fun, be safe, and as always remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge.